dinner? How was the food? Thumbs up. Okay, wonderful. Well, I love the energy in this room today. I did want to say that we have a slight deviation in our schedule for today. We have a special guest arriving. So we'll get our panel started. Yes, we'll get our panel started just as scheduled with the to talk about the NSF engines, but we might need to interrupt the panel in the middle because we have Governor Tony Evers coming to visit us this morning. So, yeah. So we'll need to be a little flexible with the schedule. So I appreciate everyone being flexible and comfortable with that. So with that, I would. Yeah, go ahead, no problem. So, everybody's heard about the NSF engines, I hope. Is there anybody in this room who has not heard about the NSF engines? Okay, good, because you'd have to be sleeping through the whole conference for that. So, I will not do a big preamble about what it is, but we all know it's exciting, and we know that the state is really excited about it. We know our academic partners are really excited about it, and we know that the farmers and the community members that we've met with are really excited about it as well. So today here we have an excellent group of representatives from the core group of the engine. So we've been meeting every other week, at least, for the past year to work on the engine and think about the strategies and to be able to talk to all of the other stakeholders that are in the community and in our academic circles to gather information. And we have 5 working groups that have been created. There is the Youth Inspired Research, and Brad Bowling from UW-Madison and Jessica Silvaggi from UW-Milwaukee Research Foundation lead that. Jessica's not able to come today, but Brad's here to represent that group. Then we have the Translation to Practice group, and we have Doris Mold and Stephanie Spehar, who lead that group. And then we have the Entrepreneurship group. I lead that along with Zach Homestead from JAMF. And then we have the Workforce Development Group, which is still under development. So I will put that on hold for now. And then we have our Policy Implications Group, and Mary leads that one. So Mary Blanchard leads that one. So I will now turn it over to the panelists to introduce themselves and give us a quick or long update on kind of the reason why you joined this engine. Because I know when we approached you at the beginning of, when was this now? Almost 2 years ago. Well, 1.5 years ago, to say, would you like to be part of it? And all of you asked, well, what is it? And we said, we don't know. We want you to help us define it. And you took a leap of faith and you said, yes, I will meet with you every other week and do these working groups at least once a month and take on all of this time and responsibility. So tell our audience why. You want to start, Brad?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. As Adira said, I'm Brad, and the reason that I became involved in the engine was really about impact. And my research as a faculty in the food science department was about food and health, and we were working with fruits and vegetables, nuts that people just aren't eating enough of. And the reason why they're not eating enough of those is actually very complex. So we were studying the health benefits of these fruits and vegetables and nuts and the composition, and we were doing human intervention studies. But you know, at the base, we wanted people to be able to have better access. We wanted more just access, more accessible fruits and vegetables. And there's not one thing that we could do in our lab that would really help that. And it kind of propelled are thinking to more of a systems level approach. And I think the engines is very much working on the ecosystem or the systems here, which is very, very exciting. And really it takes like an integrated view of, you know, where like food science, food production is in this whole realm of agriculture is, you know, really like this interconnection is needed to really change the way that we have, you know, our diets, our health, and that impacts the health of the land, the soil, the animals, farmers, workforce. So this really, that kind of interconnectedness really made me think about joining the engine and participating in it.
Thank you, Brad. Go ahead, Doris.
Okay. All right. I'm Doris Mold, and I'm kind of the odd one, a little bit of an odd one out in some ways. I'm a farmer and farm in Polk County, Wisconsin. And in addition to that, I work on a project called Rural Resiliency with the University of Wisconsin Eau Claire Foundation. And that project is a big reason why I'm here. I got invited to come to the first meeting, and the work that we're doing there is we're looking at both agricultural stress and entrepreneurship and how stress can impact entrepreneurs and the decisions they make, and trying to help farmers manage stress and make better business decisions as well. And you may wonder, for those of you that aren't actively farming, which I would assume is the majority of the room, is that farmers face unique stresses, and it's not just about money, it's about weather, it's about succession planning, it's about stewardship of the land, and all of that's integral into the project that we're working on as we look at a systems approach. And it's really important for farmers to be in a good headspace, to make good and rational decisions. And we're working on the stress. We're working on trying to remove roadblocks and barriers to information. If they are interested in transforming their operation in some way, shape, or form, we're working on that as well. We've done some research in our project that shows us we visited with farmers that have made transitions in their business. And one of the key things they said was, it's great that we have academics and extension and government, but what we really need are peers that have gone through similar things that can help guide us and coach us. And so that is a big reason why I'm part of this project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Blanchard. I'm the Associate Director of the Wisconsin Energy Institute at UW-Madison. I started working in energy not quite 20 years ago. Specifically, I started working in bioenergy. I worked for a bioenergy startup company in the Madison area that converts plant sugars into hydrocarbon fuels and other products that would normally be sourced from petroleum. And that when I came there, I really didn't know anything about bioenergy. And that as I learned more about bioenergy, I learned more about how important the agricultural component is to bioenergy, because it's all about the biomass, right? And that as I started working in DC with trade associations, as the 2007 energy bill was being formed, part of that bill is something called the Renewable Fuel Standard, which as a policy essentially makes the opportunity for renewable fuels to be blended in the United States. And that policy requires greenhouse gas reductions from the fossil fuel equivalent for the fuels. And that means a lot of measurement. The biomass itself, the growing of what we call the feedstocks, is about 40% of that calculation. And so understanding about the feedstocks, understanding about the growing conditions for the feedstocks, it became an area where I started learning more and more about the agricultural piece of that, because that measurement really matters. And this is really still true today. The Inflation Reduction Act, which maybe some of you have heard about, offers financial incentives for something called sustainable aviation fuel. After a certain level, every percentage better that it is in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, you get more money for that end product, you know, and it can make it be more economical in the marketplace. And so this is showing how the policy matters, but the measurement matters. And on the agricultural side, there are different kinds of crops where they have really deep roots. They sequester more carbon in the soil. They can effectively be carbon sinks. And as we think about there being more strategies for using our very large agricultural system for sequestering carbon, improving soil health, maybe utilizing waste organic materials for making of products. So where there's residues after anaerobic digestion or industrial residues coming from food production, where right now they might have to pay to dispose of it somehow. If we could make that into something that's valuable, that can improve the health of our ecosystems and also improve the bottom line for companies and for farmers as well. I came to the university about 10 years ago. We're home to the Great Lakes Bioenergy Research Center, which is a really large Department of Energy funded research center that was first awarded in 2007. It's the largest grant UW-Madison has ever received. In its first 15 years was a $25 million a year grant. Like, this is a gigantic grant with 400 researchers working in the space, and a lot of them are working on the sustainability side too. Looking at that agricultural piece of how do we make sure that we're contributing to a healthy environment and healthy landscapes in our rural areas. And one of the parts that we think about there too is, what does this do for the bioeconomy? There's so much opportunity to convert biomass, and biomass by its nature is distributed all across the state. And that economically, you're not going to transport that long distances to a conversion plant. The conversion plants that are going to use that material are going to be located in rural areas. And so it offers tremendous opportunity for rural communities. And as we're able to use different types of organic waste materials, it offers new income streams for farmers as well. And, as the other panelists have said, that there's an opportunity to improve our water quality, improve the health of our soil. So the impact is so gigantic. So this was an easy yes for me to be involved in this project.
Thank you, Mary. And I guess I will talk for myself and kind of our entrepreneurship group. As we've talked about throughout the conference, the WiSys Venture Home program has been running for the past few years, 4 years. So it's been running for 4 years now, and we have 5 different locations that we're connected to. And part of the reason we even decided to apply and approach all these, excellent people with very diverse backgrounds was, we said, hold on a second. All of these things that they're talking about, I think we might already be doing it, right? We've got our place-based innovation through the Venture Home program. Our regional associate program, even though we've never called it that, is a place-based innovation program. Our regional associates live around the state, and they are serving in the regions, the campuses where they live. So that was one big check mark. The other big check mark was we had been working with WARF and the UW-Milwaukee Research Foundation to create what we call the Bicentennial Innovation Challenge. And that had been already running for 3 years. And we were doing a lot of ground level research and, conducting focus groups and workshops and talking to a lot of people around the state to understand what are Wisconsin's biggest opportunities and biggest assets, right? So if you can match those assets with those opportunities, that would be great. And Arjun mentioned that one of the things that came up was sustainable agriculture. So between all that data that we had, that there was a need for something like this, and the place-based model that WiSys and UW both exemplify, we had really good reason to apply, and that's why we got that Type 1 award. And excuse me one second. Is he coming up? We're trying to decide if he if we need to pause now. Sorry. Yes, pause. Okay, I'll ask our panelists to please go back to your seats, and then we'll have the governor do a few remarks, and then we will continue this panel after. I can take care of that. Thank you. So we will wait a few minutes here. Thank you very much for everyone's patience with this. Hello. So it might be a minute or two. So I thought I'd entertain you a little bit. One thing that we've gotten a lot of questions about are this little blue dude in your swag bags. And so I wanted to point out a few really cool features. It's a very innovative little product. You squish it, right? It's a stress ball. The eyes pop out, which my kids love, by the way. But that's not it. The hair is actually a screen cleaner. Yep, and it gets better. You put this on your table. It's a phone holder. You see those little thumbs? It's going to hold your phone if you want to watch discreetly Netflix while you're at work. So, okay, that was perfect timing.
Who at WiSys is
Right? Yeah, right.
It's very exciting, isn't it? This morning, I have the privilege and honor of introducing our special guest to our SPARK Symposium, the 46th governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. Governor Evers was born and raised in Plymouth, earned his bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees from UW-Madison, and he has a long record of public service in education, having been elected Wisconsin's Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction from 2001 to 2009, and then elected as the Superintendent of Public Instruction in 2009 and reelected in 2013 and 2017. In this role, he served as an ex officio member of the Universities of Wisconsin Board of Regents. And I'm sure you know that he was elected governor in 2018 and reelected in 2022. It's no surprise that Governor Evers is a champion of higher education and education generally, evidenced recently by his announcement championing the greatest increase ever in the budget of the Universities of Wisconsin, $400 million per year for his 25-27 budget. It's really amazing. Thank you, Governor. On a personal note, I've been fortunate to meet and cross paths with Governor Evers several times in the past decade in my service with WiSys. At Board of Regents meetings where I gave several presentations, so he's aware of the great work of all of you in our 11 regional universities and how important they are to Wisconsin. At his governor's mansion, where he hosted an economic development and innovation summit, a technology council event at Exact Sciences offices to highlight the importance of technology innovation, an event to celebrate the Workforce Innovation Award we mentioned yesterday, won by UW-Eau Claire in their partnership with Mayo Clinic, a recent economic development conference in the Dells, and finally, at the UW Women's Volleyball Playoff Games, where I'm sorry to say that I bothered him while he was watching the game. Most recently, he invited me to his office at the Capitol, where he graciously offered to allow us to brief him on this partnership for forward agriculture and how important this is to the state of Wisconsin. From all of this, I've learned three things. He's passionate about education and the importance to the advancement of Wisconsin. He's a strong supporter of innovation and understands its importance to the economy and the well-being of all Wisconsinites. And he's a sports fan who's a strong supporter of women's athletics. And as I mentioned, very gracious for enduring, my stopping by and interrupting his enjoyment of the game. Governor Evers, thank you for taking the time to talk to us at this annual SPARK Symposium.
Thanks, everybody. What a beautiful day in Superior. Where's the Chancellor? You here? Thank you. Chancellor is one of my favorite people. She does just an outstanding job here at Superior. How many years now? Give me a guess. 13 years. Oh my God. Yeah, lucky 13. Anyway, she's done a great job here, and it's always good to see you. So thank you for hosting this event today. And of course, thank you, President Sangha. And good morning, everybody. It's great to be here today at the SPARK Symposium. I've said many times that the UW system is one of the most valuable assets we have here in the state of Wisconsin. And it's an incredible to see the research and innovation happening at our world-class university system on display here today. Wisconsin has always been a state where our ideas, innovations, and inventions drive our country and our world forward. And whether it's advancements in agriculture or healthcare, science and technology, or manufacturing, Wisconsin is leading the way. Together, we're working to address generational challenges that have long plagued our state and build an economy and workforce that meets the demands of the 21st century and propel us forward as a national and international leader in innovation. And already we are seeing our efforts pay off in a number of really exciting new things going on and developments around the state, including Microsoft's $3.3 billion investment in a new AI data center in Southeast Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's recent designation as an official U.S. regional tech hub. Also, we want to recognize the tremendous Wisconsin system-led Forward Agriculture Initiative that received nearly $1 million from the U.S. National Science Foundation as part of our first ever Engines Development Program. This initiatives will continue Wisconsin's standing as a leader in agricultural innovation and sustainability. Today, I'm announcing that in recognition of the importance of this project, I'm committing a $15 million investment for the Forward Agriculture Initiative in my next biennial budget to help and that'll help make sure that we match and compete for these critical federal dollars. This effort to collaborate with a diverse group of partners to modernize Wisconsin's $105 billion agricultural industry and further strengthen our position as global leaders in sustainable agriculture is a perfect example of the Wisconsin idea in action. UW system has a long historic tradition in solving complex problems and leading world-class research that has saved and changed lives in Wisconsin and across our nation. This research and other innovative ideas on display here today are exactly the reason we need to keep investing in the success of our higher education institutions like the University of Wisconsin system. So in my next budget, in addition to that $15 million to support the Forward Agricultural Initiative, I'm also proposing the largest biennial increase in our UW system in our state's history. Because if we want to continue to be a national leader and bring bright new talent to our state, then we must invest in the University of Wisconsin system now. Our state's future and the future of Wisconsin and the future of the Wisconsin idea depends on it. It's as simple as that. And the more than $800 million increase I'll be proposing is a crucial step in the right direction to get it on track. So to all of you today, thank you for showing the world and lawmakers of the state what an education at our UW system can do. We need folks like you who ask the questions worth asking and are steadfast in finding the answers to build a brighter, stronger, more sustainable, and equitable future for our state. For that, I want to thank you for inviting me today and have a great conference. And I'm going to turn it back to Arjun, I believe. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. It is an honor to be here today. I'll just give you one ask, and that is all this money is going to be in the budget. We're going to need your help. Believe me, it's going to be a hell of a fight, but we're going to need you, your family, and anybody else you can get to advocate for the University of Wisconsin system, all the campuses. It's really important. This is the time that we can really make a difference. So thank you.
I just want to invite the NSF Engines panel up so we can get a quick photograph with the governor, and then he'll make his way through the room. You.
Please, I don't have to be inside. Yes, thanks. Hear that.
Come on.
There's enough anxiety. I saw couples in the restroom getting ready and crimping and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're getting ready for. The beastly judges.
Okay. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So as you heard from Governor Evers, he has committed to putting $15 million to match our NSF engine grant, which we will get. I'm pretty confident because look at this team we have. So it's going to be an exciting next year and next couple of years, I should say. So with that, I will move on to my next question for this panel. So as I mentioned, each of these panelists here, including me, are leading a different working group. So maybe we'll start with Mary and would like to know what are the different topics that so what does your group look like? What are the goals of your group? And kind of what has your group come up with so far in terms of how to contribute to the engine and what the big picture vision of the engine can look like? And please remind people your working group name as
Sure.
well.
So I'm in a co-lead of the policy implications working group. And I'll say that for as long as I've been working in the energy space, commercializing technology, I've really come to this philosophy that commercializing technology, it requires the technology, but that's only sort of one piece of a four-legged stool, and bringing something to commercialization, finding the financing for it, having policy and regulation to allow it is important, as well as social acceptance of that technology as well. So policy is a big piece, and that there are innovations, for example, that have happened in other states that have helped increase the use of solar energy on rooftops, for example, that aren't allowed here in the state of Wisconsin. So it does matter, that what policy is, and policy can, it can help, not just is it allowed, but it might make one way of doing what you're interested in, the problem you're interested in solving. It might make one way more preferable than another, so really understanding the policy matters as you think about taking technologies towards commercialization and helping to solve some of these macro issues. We've got a really great policy group, people sort of from all aspects of the agricultural system, people who are coming from non-governmental organizations or NGOs who maybe have expertise in water and environmental policy, to people who are working in the food systems themselves and really understand the policies around the food systems, not just in the state of Wisconsin, but also the federal policies as well. The Farm Bill, which is the US federal government policy that really impacts the agricultural system, is something that makes a big difference. overall. And so having people who are knowledgeable about the federal farm bill, and it's, currently up to be renewed, and, what's in that. So all of those pieces need to come together to solve this. So we've really been looking at the assets across the state that know about policy, but that are also working in this space, because I think part of what the NSF engine is really focused on, regional hubs, but it also is really bringing together a mesh of support and expertise across the state, and helping to connect people with the resources, will help connect people with the resources that they need to be successful. Sharing information, also in just helping them find people who might be able to not just bring knowledge, but might be able to actively help them with the work that they're doing. And so I think one of the really big benefits of the NSF engine is in this distributed model, and in working all across the state of Wisconsin, is to create a vehicle for sort of bringing out the best ideas coming from across the state, and making sure that people can more straightforwardly find the resources that they need to be successful, and the information that they need to be successful. And the policy is one part of that.
Thank you, Mary. Go ahead, Doris. Yeah.
So I'd like to kind of piggyback on some of the things that you said, Mary, because I think you described kind of the workings of our whole group very well. I co-lead the translation to practice group, and that bringing people together and honoring their knowledge and ideas and expertise and their input, and kind of going across the agricultural spectrum is so very important. And it's really important when we look at translation to practice that it isn't just a top-down approach, that somebody invents something and then brings it out to the farmers and say, here you go, this is the greatest thing ever, or brings it to the cheese manufacturers and says, this is the greatest thing ever. It really needs to be an iterative process, that it is a back and forth conversation. It might take a little bit longer, but it will help to make sure that things that get developed actually get put into practice. And I think also looking at the people that are going to be using whatever technology or innovation, making sure that you understand that they have knowledge and expertise as well, that they're experts in their own right. And that's important to include their thoughts and ideas as we develop things, because you can develop some wonderful things, but if it doesn't ever get put into practice, then what was the point, right? You went through an exercise. And so it's really important for farmers or cheesemakers or potato processors or whatever we have, or people that are selling seed, that we have conversations about what we're what we're working on, and that there's a true collaborative effort. And I think that's a really key thing that this whole project is bringing together, and the regional hubs and the whole venture home kind of concept, bringing it to agriculture is really key. So those are some of the key things that we've been working on. We have people throughout the UW system on our group. We're working on getting more nonprofit folks involved. We've also discussed the importance of bringing together Wisconsin agriculture, not just as part of this project, but as a bigger thing, bringing all different aspects, cross-section of Wisconsin agriculture to discuss ideas, update each other, share information, because there are certain industry groups, but there's not one that cuts across all aspects of agriculture. And we feel that's an important thing to do.
Thank you.
Great. In the Use Inspired group, we are working closely with the other working groups. We realize that the translation to practice really begins with the users who are going to use that technology. So our group is assembled of faculty, staff, farmers, individuals from nonprofits around the state, and the different regional campuses. And we have been meeting monthly and working to really assess what are the barriers to research collaboration and implementing use-inspired research. So, you know, what does it take to get people to work together in this process? What type of training do we need? Because it's very different from kind of the traditional, I have a hypothesis, I'm going to carry it out and then look at the product and then apply it. So that process really begins with conversations and begins with conversations with those around you. And that's the value of having everyone activated around the state to be engaged in this process, because you know the issues and the most important things around you, and you have those connections to make and bring to the engine, which can, you know, provide those resources, provide those connections, and amplify the impact of the work that's going on. And the idea is that, you know, these research practices would be involved at the very beginning with the community and the users. So as Doris was saying, you know, we need to be talking with farmers, food manufacturers, politicians, and you know, the students. Yet it's just really important to have the whole ecosystem activated and engaged in the research process and get those results. We've learned that Wisconsin is a very diverse state in terms of the agriculture and food system. We have, we're number one in so many things: dairy, cheese, cranberries, beans, and we're number two in organic farms, number one in school gardens around this state, statewide school gardens. And it's really exciting to be part of an area with just so much potential to kind of create this ecosystem that's activated for use-inspired research.
Thank you, Brad. I'll add to that and say on the entrepreneurship side, you know, we see a lot of potential in a similar way. You know, we talked yesterday about all of the invention disclosures that are coming from our campuses, from the regional campuses. We've talked about the startups that are coming out of our regional campus communities. We have the Big Idea Tournament, which kind of celebrates innovation and entrepreneurship among students. But in addition to that, there's also a lot of other entrepreneurship that happens outside of the campus, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurship in the community. So one of the goals of the entrepreneurship working group is to think about how do we more closely connect the innovation that happens in the universities with kind of the startup talent that's in the communities usually. So as we know, for an idea to be successful, you need a great idea, yes. You need the technical expertise to implement that idea, yes. But you also need an operating team. You need that person who's maybe knowledgeable about marketing. You need somebody who's managing your operations, thinking about sales. You need someone who's good at pitching. You know, not everybody is. So thinking about how do you build the right team around an idea to make sure that it's successful, because while an idea is important, the execution is what makes a successful startup. So that's kind of been the focus of the entrepreneurship group, is thinking about how do we do more to connect the existing talent and resources in the state with each other. And this is not just within a single community, within the university and a community, but really, as Mary was saying, this whole mesh, right? The mesh that kind of covers the entire state, so that maybe a student from Eau Claire is collaborating with a startup from Platteville. How do we make that happen? Because that doesn't happen organically. That needs the structure, that needs a platform where these connections can be made. So that's been the big goal of the entrepreneurship group. And we're thinking about how do we expand the venture home network? How do we overlay kind of a digital network on top of this physical network to make those connections more easily happen more easily? So with that, I would like to thank our panelists. They've been great today and very flexible. Thank you. And they've been great in the past year in terms of all of the work that we've done. And I will also mention, this is only part of the group. We have about a dozen. Thank you, Doris. We have about a dozen. Yeah, I think that's actually right. We have 12 people on the core implementation group who've been working on all of this. And in addition to that, you know, there's about I think there's somewhere in the realm of 100 other participants if we count all of the working groups. And then if you go out one more level, when we've done the workshops and site visits, we've engaged with over 300 people. So as you can see, there's a lot of information that's been collected and curated and synthesized by this group. So thank you so much for all the work you're doing. We're excited to submit our preliminary proposal on August 6th. And with that, I would ask you to please give them a great big round of applause. Thank you.